before we even went to $7. We're going right back through it again, just like we did before. But we had built a base of ethanol underneath it here that's kind of like building a robot feed unit that is never going to die. And then, of course, we turned around, and that's when the hype came with $200 oil possible and China buying all this. And we found out that about $85 to $90 in crude oil hurts us and it hurts the rest of the world. And that's a level that I think we can't stand. I forget it, Morgan Stanley's talking about $100 in oil average this year. I read that stuff just for that and a piece of paper I got from them that says 10 reasons why to buy commodities today. And they put that out the 1st of January, and I'd have lost the farm if I'd have mortgaged the farm and bought more, But you can see what happened. Up we went, closed down below that 435 area, rallied back up to that area to see whether it was for real or not. And now we've stayed between that $3.20 area and 435. I would submit there's not much you can do with $5 corn. If you're the livestock person, you can't eat it. Exporters don't want it. We got a world awash in feed grains. We have probably now gone back into an equilibrium point in here now where $3 is cheap corn, relatively speaking. And if you can't, if we can't feed it and it gets below that, I might even think about building an ethanol plant unless the price of crude oil goes down. So a lot of it depends on the world economy. Can we sustain crude oil at that $65 to $85 level? Or are we going to go back to $50? If we go back to that level, that says maybe the world economy not only can't burn it, they don't want our imports, and they're not going to eat as much meat. Meat consumption's dropped a lot since during this financial situation. So we have some things to prove, but I tell clients that if you're thinking of buying land, you know what worst case is. We've been through the worst economic situation, non-agriculture wise, than we have in my lifetime. This last couple of years has been what my dad promised me would happen. Someday you'll find out. They'll come take your farm, And he lived through that and was very conservative, and I unfortunately inherited that. Had I been a little more liberal, I probably don't own a lot more land. I don't own more than I would have bought more and mortgaged myself to the hilt, because looking back at it, if you can manage it, that was the thing to do. So something below $3, I think it hurts agriculture, and you probably get, with my basis, at $3 futures, we were 58 cents a while back, we're down to 40. And that gets down to where it's $2.50 corn, and I don't know if I can make it work as easy, especially on that incremental increase in acres that I'm talking about, even in spite of the fact that my fertilizer price has dropped in half, but it's still almost twice what it was 10 years ago. So bearing that in mind, the weekly chart then shows some other interesting things that happen. And we just talked about the 430 mark and how if you look at the gaps in between 430 and when we gapped above it back here, we spent all this time curbing demand, really, and trying to find a substitute. And fortunately, what it did is scared the blazes out of at least any administration in power that said, we got to do something. And here came the alternative fuel. So we're entrenched in that, thinking that it's just a matter of time before we go back to it again. While our corn yields are going to approach 300 bushels. We solved the corn problem this year by the fringe states getting absolutely fabulous yields. Ohio got as good a yield as Illinois, and they like corn because the genetics has really done it. And if you believe Monsanto, it's going to get better yet. So that's the area that really created the record yields, because they had huge crops. And if you have poor land anywhere, and you get a lot of rain some year, that land can really produce for a year or two. So anyway, we gapped above it. When we found out the party was over, we gapped below it. And if you're a technical watcher at all, you look at it and say, all right, I'm sitting here and I don't think the price of corn is worth this much. Suddenly you get new fundamental information that says, hey, I think it's going to be worth a lot more. And you open up higher than you've ever been before, which is like that 430, at least ever been before, meaning the last 6 months or 16 months. You gapped higher, and suddenly the stuff you wanted to sell now becomes cheap. You say, I would like to own more than that, and off you went. Fundamentals changed, the economy changed, down you went, and you got back to that level again, and we gapped below 430. So you look back at that whole 18 months of where we've been through, and that is like an island. If you do that on one day, it's kind of like getting a crop report, and it's bullish, and you gap higher, and you set up here, and you limit up, the next day it opens below where the low was because somebody had an embargo or whatever it was, or it was false hopes, and you got below it, and you've got that one-day trading up there where somebody got snookered, and somebody is long the market now and is getting hurt, and now it's not worth that much anymore. So later on in October of 2008, we found out that we no longer thought 430 was a low price, and now it was a high price, and we tried to get back above it again. would contend that no matter what you would have said on January